One of the main questions people ask is what should we actually do to understand the crypto price fluctuation? Here, Yale University researchers have executed a detailed study and they found something really cool. And we were always on the right direction, kind of looking at their findings. We were always on the right path. It reads, we show that cryptocurrency returns can be predicted by factors which are specific to cryptocurrency markets. So you can't actually use the fundamental analysis in the way that you will be accommodating it for currencies, commodities and all. That's what they mean by that. And then specifically, we determine that there is a strong time series momentum effect and that proxies for investors' attention strongly forecast cryptocurrency returns. So that should be understood very well, because that area we determine that there is a strong time series momentum effect. If you look at the charts, if we actually understand this, say we will first go through the daily and weekly. The daily chart, what can you actually see here? How the momentum is actually shifting. To understand that, it would be a bit more easy for us to go into this weekly one, same, because things are going to be bigger here, so you have to actually concentrate much more. On a weekly chart, if you look at the momentum, where is it actually going and what can you actually see? It's simple, right? We can actually understand it's going to be much bigger than we actually thought. Combining that with the factors specific to the crypto industry, it shows that the momentum is huge here and it's gonna actually take off. And whenever we see something details which actually talk about the fundamentals for this particular area or the target market, you should understand that this is going to be much bigger than we all thought. Now, if you're actually connecting dots without using the specific details for that particular asset, then the prediction itself may be wrong. And here you are about to see some fireworks from the crypto price. The price fluctuations are actually going to show us something even better. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where we discuss crypto and science behind investing daily. If you receive value from the contents delivered here in the Scientific Investor channel, you can support the channel. Hit this like button in the video, and then if you would like to extend your support, you can do that via the Patreon or the PayPal addresses given in the description. If you actually want the same quality standard research for other assets similar to XRP, you can actually use that Patreon link. You have a lot of different options through which you can attain much more value for your time and understand your portfolio. There are details which are specific to this particular investing side. Managing your portfolio is almost the important thing. The risk, managing the capital, allocating the capital, and understanding the asset in which you have invested and trying to get the target price for that is kind of important all the time. So you can actually get help from those who kind of do this on a daily basis to understand it bigger. Now, when we actually go through this study, we kind of understand, yes, they went through Bitcoin, went to Ripple, went to Ethereum and other stuff. And there's a long study in which they actually compared it with currencies, compared it with commodities like gold and all. They did that study in a way that it is fully systematic, scientific, and then they came up with the conclusion that it's actually going to come back. The cryptocurrency market is going to come back. And when it is coming back, it would be so much of a surprise for many, because when we read it here, they are stating that cryptocurrency market is going to be back. And this is an emerging asset class. When they say that, their endowment fund, $29.2 billion, is invested in cryptocurrencies. So it's not like someone from outside is saying, okay, that's cool, you can invest in that. These guys have already invested in that amount. Meaning, if you have put your money in something, you would be doing more and more research about that particular asset class. Or for smart investors, they would be doing that research before they invest. So considering both the aspect, if they have their money in this asset class, then they actually understood this asset class is going to be much bigger. Now, it's not only Yale University. When we read through that, we can understand that it's not only one university, top universities in the world are actually doing the same thing. It's Harvard, it's Stanford, MIT, everyone is also doing it. Now, when we look at the fundamental side, this tweet from Mac Attack XRP, it's a bit old tweet from him, but it kind of shows you the direction where we are headed. And back in March, when he actually tweeted this out, when we used to see Bank of America, Swift and all, it was kind of, a bit cloudy kind of thing. But in yesterday's video, as we discussed, Bank of America is making new patents, and patents in which it is kind of everything is focused on DLT, which will be connected to a value exchange mechanism. And in that one, they talk about crypto credit, right? The loan. And as we move forward, we can also see the huge players in the market, financial world, are entering into the digital asset world in a different way, right? Goldman names new head of digital assets in bet that blockchain is the future of financial market. That means they have the traditional market, but they understood that the future is going to be this way. So if they really want to stay relevant and take profit all the way, give customers service, provide, do their business and make more money, they're entering into this market. And when these guys are entering the market, like we see, like say Buck, Fidelity and all, you should be understanding one thing: mass common retail investors will be coming through them. The inflow of next wave of retail investors would be through them, that's for sure. And now when you actually see this, I saw it actually being produced in two different aspects from XRP community. Say on the one side, it was being argued that this is actually cool for Ripple, XRP and all, and the other side was talking no, they are traveling away from Ripple and XRP. But what I would like to share with you guys is, when you read this thing, they actually talk about the settlement mechanism, right? At the bottom, when you come here, the first release of FedNow service will provide core clearing and settlement features that will support market needs and help banks manage their transaction 24/7, 365. Now, yeah, we'll have to go through the entire document to understand that. But when we talk about the global system, considering the global aspect, you can actually see one country to another, they are coming up with new systems like this: TIPS, CHAPS, NPP. Now we have news with others too, right? And when you look at the FedNow service, this is a document from R3, which kind of shows you how they are kind of connected. R3 welcomes the opportunity to respond to the request for comment from Board of Governance of Federal Reserve System. Meaning they are not asking like, can we join the party? Instead, they are responding to a question asked by them. So they are in consideration and they are doing their business. And if you understand R3, how big it is, just look at one country, Italy. They are moving fully into CODA. So that area you can understand, once this financial service is being entered into a regulated platform, CODA is R3's blockchain platform, which provides the settlement mechanism there, in which we already understand that XRP is in place. Now it's not only about just Italy and that system. If you look at Central Bank of UAE and the Arab Monetary Fund, it is kind of entering into a new era. Now, when we talk about the central bank digital currency era, just before we reach there, the infrastructure is being laid out. Central Bank of UAE, Arab Monetary Fund announced signing of agreement to offer clearing payment settlement service in AED. Now, that is not in what? United States dollar. So they are moving in AED, which is Arab Emirates dirhams, right? So now we also can see that China and Russia ditch dollar in a move towards financial alliance. So they are looking at what? This thing, and how it is actually affecting greenback. Greenback share of neighbors trade falls below 50% for the first time. And why it is happening? You can see this stuff, right? So even if these guys are trading between, say, Russian ruble and Chinese yuan, they need a bridge there. It's not about going from United Chinese yuan to the dollar to Russian, right? Now they have a bridge asset. So when this is happening, the share of greenback is falling like this. Greenback is not responding properly, right? If you understand the developments in this market, one thing is for sure: digital dollar is taking time, whereas Russians, China, everyone is way far ahead than this US approach here, and that is kind of completely understood. And if the US really want to move ahead, they need more regulatory clarity. Now, yes, the regulatory clarity is coming out, it's slow, but keep in mind that this is happening at one side. Russia, China, and other countries are actually trading within their currencies. So the aspect of new digital reserve, which we talked previously, is kind of happening itself. Countries are preparing themselves, they are kind of ditching the current reserve system and they are moving into a new reserve. And at that time, if we actually listen to this video in which Trump is speaking, you can understand one thing. They are talking about removing the middleman, whether it be in one business or the other business, but it's really about reducing the cost by just removing the middleman. So if you look at the bank's payments procedure, precisely cross-border payments procedure, you can understand there is a lot of chain involved, which is the correspondent banking network. Now, if we actually remove those middlemen from this transaction, the cost would be so low, and if you're using this technology, it would be instantaneous, right? So we'll just listen to this.
The middleman. Well, the rebate that I'm doing cuts out the middleman and it reduces costs, and the money goes back to the people purchasing the drugs. So I have a lot of enemies out there. This may be the last time you'll see me for a while. A lot of very, very rich enemies, but they are not happy with what I'm doing. But I figure we have one chance to do it, and no other president's going to do what I do.
The concept is same, but he's not talking about our industry, right? But if he's actually doing that for one industry, which is, cool for Americans, automatically the world is actually looking at another thing, which is payments. Even if you buy anything in any industry, you need to move from one currency to another if you are purchasing it from abroad, right? So you need to take out that middleman. Say, if why you actually need to go through Chinese to US and then from there to Russian. So for them, it makes sense directly change from Chinese to Russian. Why you need that one, right? In that case, and when we look at China's dominance in the current market of digital currencies, meaning China came up with their digital asset, if US have to stay relevant, they need to come with a certain framework. And now we can see in the Northern American side, Ripple is kind of establishing itself with its office in DC, and currently Ripple director for South America indicates RippleNet dismisses concerns about XRP. So that means they prioritizes and dismisses concerns about XRP. They don't care about what they believe. And as Brad Garlinghouse stated previously, we don't actually look at the short-term price fluctuations. We don't care about that. What we care is about the long-term price fluctuation, meaning they understand this asset. Now, they created or they manage this asset. So, there is no need to say that they understand this asset class, because the giants always understand that. Now, if you come back into this study and look at their findings, our findings cast doubt on popular explanations that the behavior of cryptocurrencies is driven by functions as a stake in the future of blockchain technology similar to stocks, as a unit of account similar to the currencies, and understand, or a store of value similar to precious metals and commodities, right? At the same time, the returns of cryptocurrency can be predicted by two factors specific to its market. What we are doing here, we are trying to analyze the market for XRP. We are trying to understand the fundamentals for XRP particularly and wider crypto market. Momentum and investors' attention is key things. Momentum and investors' attention. So as we can see, once these institutions are coming out with this asset class, investors' attention is gained from that area. Now, when that is happening on one side, say Fidelity, Buck, Goldman, everyone is coming out, rolling out their digital asset products across the world, and then it's about the momentum. Now, when you see this kind of a momentum, say here, you were actually getting this kind of fluctuation, then the momentum is like boom, right? Then again, the momentum is towards the downside. You can understand that. But in an overall long-term perspective, if you're zooming out and looking at this, it's clear that the momentum is to the upside, because the price hasn't retraced back to its lower levels of 2014, 2015. Instead, it is staying way up ahead. And the key thing is, if you look at a monthly chart, it's clear that we went to the upside, we corrected back just below the moving averages. Now we are trying to defend that moving average. We are just crossing the 20-day moving average. At the same time, the RSI is pointing to the upside, reaching the 50-point mark, and the MACD is about to cross. So once we complete this month in green and open next month, it's going to be a huge signal there in a monthly chart. And as we saw, the momentum in the monthly and weekly chart is to the upside. Now what we need to understand is what really is happening at this particular level. That is based on momentum, right? We understand that the fundamentals side is strong and it is getting so big, and the momentum on a daily at that particular area we are concentrating on. This is the Heikin-Ashi chart, guys. So if you look at this one, you can see the momentum is really to the upside. And what usually happens with the Heikin-Ashi candles is, say if we are going to see a burst here, you can see the price came there, kind of slowed down, pushed the brakes, and then held on there for some time, and then a breakout to the upside. Now if we look at the same here, once correction, boom, then it looks like we may actually correct. Maybe we are going to come back and retest the 0.26 mark, or we are going to stay here as a flag and then boom to the upside. That's on a daily on a Heikin-Ashi chart. Even if you go back to Japanese candle and look at it on the momentum basis, you can understand the same thing. The momentum is moving to the upside. So now two of the factors talked about the investing is momentum and investors' attention. Now we are at a point that momentum has already shifted in our way, and the investors' attention, we are gaining that, right? We are gaining the attention from a lot of investors around the world with the fundamentals we are seeing. Now, one by one, when we actually go through these information, what we can understand is from UAE to all the Arab nations, and then China, Russia, the other economies around the world, is understanding one by one. And then when we look back at the dollar, what's happening with the dollar, this is a report from the state government of American assets. So now when you concentrate on this one, what we read here is to be, focused clearly. The Clean Network Program is the Trump administration's comprehensive approach to guarding our citizens' privacy and our companies' most sensitive information from aggressive intrusions by malign actors such as Chinese Communist Party. Now, when they say Chinese Communist Party, it's China, right? They rule China, it's an authoritarian state, blah, blah, blah. But that means the attacks from China. And that gives me a consideration for when we say about the momentum and factors specific to an asset. That's why I told you guys previously, I kind of see something like this. Even though the asset price of Ether, BTC, and other Chinese majority mined coins, price may actually go up. It may happen, that's for sure. Based on the technical analysis, we understand that, that's for sure. Looking at the developments in Ethereum platform, yeah, it's cool. But when I see things like this, either US has to go back to the third world country, for which the chances are really, really zero, kind of zero, near to zero, right? Or if US is continuing this approach and the other nations like New Zealand, Canada, and Australia and other Western countries join hand with the United States, as we see, then the chances for that is really rare. And the majority of the probability what we see here is that Western countries are going to join their hand. They are going to build a new financial system, excluding China, Russia, and others who don't want greenback, right? Now, when I say that, remember, these guys will come up with digital dollar, digital euro, digital whatever, based on their country. Now, they will interact with each other. That's kind of something similar to what China is doing now. China, Russia, right? In the same way, Arab countries do their own in between their own currency. So, it's something similar, but only it's politics, right? But when they say this, it's for sure that if that financial industry change is happening, they won't be actually completely moving into a platform which can be affected by malign actors. So, smart contracts, when we talk about them in Ethereum platform, I'm kind of having a mixed opinion about this. I've talked to you guys about this previously also, right? So if you think about it, clear your mind, stay focused and think about it. It's for sure that why Ripple is coming up back with the Codius platform, the smart contract, then the PolySign, the banking for digital assets, and then RippleNet itself providing XRP ledger and interledger protocol through which the transactions can be created and executed in an instant manner, so that new financial ecosystem can be built without these kind of third parties with their smart contracts and other stuffs. That is for sure and clear, right? Now, yes, the fundamentals for other assets are there, and it is also clear that the price may increase. But as we look at the momentum in fundamentals and technicals, it's not actually clear that how high these can go. Because when we see the new rules for banks and crypto exchanges, what you have to understand is who's mainly working with banks and exchanges for payments, the cross-border payments, which is the main concern of new financial market. It's not the national interest, it's international interest on one side and the national interest on the other side. You can call it capitalist, liberalist, whatever you want, but the concern, what we should be concerned here is about that manner of investment in which we are investing, for which the fundamental is changing in this way. So if the fundamental is actually changing in this way, what should we be doing? Now, as investors in XRP, we are already invested in XRP. Whether you understood the fundamentals or not, you have already interested, and the bear market kept many of you inside just because you don't actually want to lose your money. Now that's actually cool. If the price is rebounding and reaching 0.5, 0.7, you guys may be in the profit, say 100%, 200%, but is that all you want? That really becomes the question there, because profit is profit. If you take profit, no one dies because of profit, right? The question is, what do you actually want? What is your target? Last time, if the history is repeating just like the half percentage, that would be 35,000% at the end of 2017. And if you really look at the market cycle momentum of price fluctuation of XRP, the asset, that's 140,000 from the bottom last time. So even if you actually consider just the time series momentum of price fluctuation, you are going to have that kind of fluctuation based on technicals. Now, if you look at the fundamental side and the momentum, it's way much more than that in the technicals. And as we see China's digital currency edge is closer with large-scale tests going on, that means China can roll out this thing very soon. They are ready to roll, ready to do the fireworks inside their nation. So if that is happening, automatically there are other nations who are coming out with their own digital currencies. They can communicate between them using digital currencies. Now, when they do that, it's common sense that they need a digital bridging asset. And in yesterday's video, we actually showed you directly from Bank of America that they are going to go for a system in which they are going to provide crypto credits, in which they can use cryptocurrencies or crypto assets as crypto credits. What should be the specification for that? They were looking at an asset which can be traded on or off in the exchanges, the OTC market and on the markets. We know that. Now, what else was the important factor? It should be settling those transaction payments instantaneously, and it should be able to bridge from one crypto to another, one fiat to a crypto, one fiat to another. So bridging was one of the main concern in that document. If you haven't watched that video, you can just watch it in the link in the description, or you can I'll put that at the end of this video in the suggestions, or you can just visit my videos in Scientific Investor channel. Now, considering all of those and the fundamentals here, even if you see doubters, fraudsters trying to push you out, understand this. One of the comment from Giselle in yesterday's video was they were reading through a document, an article in which it was stating XRP won't actually grow in price, even if the adoption grows. That kind of makes me scratch my head thinking, what kind of an analyst is this? Basic economics, those guys who do higher secondary school in which they study economics, it's supply and demand, right? And what does the supply means? What does the demand means? If a guy who at least understand the basic economics would be understanding that when the supply decreases and the demand stays same or increases, the price should increase. That is common sense. Now look at XRP. It is designed as an appreciating asset, meaning its supply gets reduced over time along with the number of transactions happening. Now, it's not like it will be reduced in next 5 years, next 10 years. It's not just based on time. It's based on the number of transactions happening on that network. And if you see that, the number of transactions happening in XRP and Ripple Net is increasing widely. It's increasing wildly for sure. And in that aspect, the supply is reducing for sure, and at the same time, me, you, and a lot of institutions, as we saw, are holding digital currencies. Look at the grayscale chart. They will show you how much they are holding in terms of dollars, right? So that exists. They are not selling anymore. So it's not the circulating supply there. So the supply is reducing, and as we just saw, demand is rising. Investors are coming in, demand is rising. So if it stays same, the price should automatically go up. What kind of an analyst can say that no, even if adoption is there, it's not going to rise in price? If you have heard the video from Tika Tiwari, we also presented that here in the Scientific University channel a while back, say 2 months, 3 months back. It shows simple thing: giants will talk down the price of an asset before it goes to the roof. So when it happens, say it goes through the roof, they should be in with the average at the bottom or near to that bottom, right? So they try to talk down that asset and buy that asset more and more. If just one university bought 29.2 billion from its endowment fund in cryptocurrencies, how much would be the Goldman Sachs, JP Morgans of the world would be doing in crypto assets? It would be huge. And when do they do that? They don't actually buy at the top. They don't buy in the buy the dips thing. They try to do first in the accumulation phase and then in the reaccumulation phase majority. And then when the price goes up, yeah, they take profits based on their targets, right? But one thing is kind of clear there: they are into this asset class, and when they invest, it won't be like just 29 billion, it would be in trillions. The chances are hundreds of billions or trillions, and that also reduces the circulating supply. These guys are not buying it instantly and selling it instantly in that particular day or a week or a month. They would be long-term holders to reap that profit of that market cycle, because they understand how the market cycle varies. The traders who trade it for these kind of institutions are expert in that field, macroeconomics. But when we talk about that, we don't actually need that macroeconomic thing here. If you understand just the cryptocurrency market and if you can read and understand these kind of fundamental news articles, research, data, publication, government reports, then if you have that cognitive ability, it's kind of clear that you don't actually need to be a macro level thinker in that aspect. You just can think macro, but in crypto. That would lead you to benefit. Now the next thing would be looking at the price. The price is kind of fluctuating. It came to the top here. It's kind of fluctuating now. On a daily, it looks like this, but as I posted in my Patreon yesterday, you have different patterns forming in weekly, daily, 4-hour, 12-hour. As you look at it on a trading perspective, or just to understand the probability or the odds of what's going to come up, on a 4-hour chart, we can see this. We are moving to the upside in the price here. The moving averages are moving to the upside. The price is just below the 20-day moving average, but the MACD is pointing to the downside. If you look at that, the RSI is also pointing to the downside. So there is kind of a bit of a mixed symbol here. It's not completely bullish pennant going to the upside burst. But I would like to remind you guys, when you see these kind of mixed symbols, go back in history and check what was happening there. In a bull market, you would actually get mixed symbols all the way, and then you are just surprised. The price kind of makes it deal. Say here you get that when you look on a smaller time frame, 4-hour, 3-hour, you can see this. Now what is more interesting about this cycle, market cycle, is if you zoom in and reach to this particular area, say we will zoom in close and look at this. The price actually went to the downside. It bursted to the upside, came into the moving average range, consolidated a bit of time there, and then bounced towards the 20-day moving average, 200-day moving average, and consolidated there, and then bursted to the upside. So what actually is happening now? If we come to the current situation of the price and look at what it was doing, it came below, made a new low, went into the moving average zone, and then it was consolidating in that area. It went towards the 200-day moving average, and it's kind of consolidating or flirting with that range. Now it's just above that range instead of just below the range. So if the same happens, history repeats or rhymes, we are going to see a burst. And if we see that burst, we won't be directly going to $3, $5, $10. First, the mark should be near this 0.5 range and then 0.7 range, which will be the previous resistance. And after which, say 0.9, then we can actually look at the all-time highs. Guys, that's all for today, and I would be putting these links in the description if you guys would like to read through it. This article will actually give you a lot of information regarding how to analyze the fundamentals, the technicals, the side of the asset investing, how to think like an investor in this asset class, because not everyone is going to be interested in investing gold, silver. Now I personally do that, and if you remember some time back, I told you guys when the silver price was around $12 to $14, in between that range, I showed you guys the chart of silver and told you it's actually going to move up. And if you look at that, majority of us trade with leverage, say X2, X5. I personally used X5 when the price was in between 12 to 17, and then from there to 20 I was using X2, and I'm really impressed based on those decisions and the profits which I can see in my silver portfolio. I'm really impressed with myself, and I hope majority of you guys took out that opportunity and are taking profits like 300%, 500% profits. Now guys, if you saw value in the video, you can support the channel, hit that like button. If you would like to extend your support, you can use the Patreon or the PayPal link in the description below. And in the Patreon, as I told you, as you become the Patreon, there would be 3 tiers in which you can avail the service in a different manner. You get, in one of the tier, you can actually get to communicate with the scientific investor directly. Telephone, WhatsApp, Insta, it's up to you which you prefer, right? That would actually help you to understand your portfolio. If you only have XRP, then there is no way you are gonna need the 2 different packages. You can just go with the basic packages, because for XRP we do everything here for free on YouTube channel. Now if you want to look at other things like say different assets, you can actually opt for a different specifications given in that Patreon itself. Now you don't want different assets, you don't have different assets, you don't want to detail about different assets, but you really want to support scientific investor and the research which we do here, then it's up to you. It's up to your heart. You can decide anything. So guys, thank you for tuning in, and I will meet you guys on the next video. Bye for now.